Spooky Tuesday.
Jesse, what are you talking about?
He's inside me. I'm scared.
Jesse, who is doing this to you?
Fred Krueger. He's inside me, and he wants to take me again.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are also joined by a very special guest, one of our founding OG Spooky Crew members, and a friend who goes way back. He went to high school with Monica and I, and also junior high with Monica. So even way back with her than with me. Danny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Danny. Yep, I'm an OG Spooky member. Thrilled to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Devin did too.
Incredible intro so far.
And yeah, I mean, I'm a horror movie lover for as long as I've probably known you guys, and I'm just so thankful that we kind of formalize that affection into this group and then by extension your podcast. So I'm just so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be here with you as well, and honored that you still associate with me after knowing me during the height of my ugly phase. So thank you.
Not ugly, I would say awkward. And Monica, let's be honest, we didn't talk a lot then.
Let's say awkward.
No, it's true. It's true.
But yeah, we are covering a movie this week that we had talked about before. We kind of like floated the idea last Pride Month a little bit, and then we went a different direction. But earlier this year, Danny watched this movie, and then he texted and he said, if you ever do this movie, this is the movie I want to cover with you. And we said, done, let's do it for Pride this year. That was it. But Danny, because it was sort of your idea, would you like to tell everybody what we're doing this week?
Yes, so we are watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And that's the subtitle, right?
Yeah. You killed it.
Freddy's
Thank you.
Revenge. Incredible long-winded name.
Yeah.
Danny's a professional, guys.
So original, such an original subtitle, and truly just the piece stands on its own. It's you know, the Spookies give me a little bit of flack for this, which I wholly deserve, but during the pandemic I was a part of our Spooky movie watching club and another film club, and Trader. I give it whatever you
I didn't
got,
know about
throw it
this
at me.
until now, and
I didn't either.
We hid it from you guys to protect you.
Monica,
But I know.
you have said that to me every single time I've told you about this.
we all, if you listen to the pod, you know I have a memory of a goldfish, so that's totally scans.
That
I'm
tracks,
sorry.
yeah.
Anyway, that other group, in December we did a Secret Santa, but instead of Secret Santa, it's like recommending a movie. And so this past December, my friend in that group told me to watch this movie, and I was like, that's so fucking random. Like, why would I? Yeah, I mean, I like horror movies, but we just never watched those. We've never talked about Nightmare on Elm Street. And then I watched it, and I totally got it.
Wow.
When we researched Pride movies to do last year, this was on the list, but I didn't fully have an appreciation of how gay it was. I think at the time it said like, oh, there's basically a gay bar scene and there's like a shower scene, and like I got that the settings lent themselves to being gay, but I didn't.
You can't know it till you see it.
You can't know it until you see it. What did the Supreme Court say about porn? You know it when you see it. One of those things. I knew it was not canonically queer or whatever. But frankly, it is canonically queer. I mean, I think it's unavoidable.
Oh yeah, we'll
but if
get
you
all the way in. I thought Dream Warriors was the gay one. That's the one that I thought was the queer one. And so I was fully expecting to watch
There
Warriors.
doesn't
Nancy go gay.
there doesn't need to be like penetration for it to be canonically gay. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a homosexual
When do we
film.
get penetration?
Here's the thing. We do get a lot of bulge in this movie. And I think
And we
this
do
could have
get
been-
penetration, just in a different way.
Yeah, we
That's true.
do.
And then there was that whole Danny told us to watch that documentary. What's the title, Danny?
The documentary is called Scream, Queen, ! My Nightmare on Elm Street. It's about Mark Patton. He produced it, and he's illustrating his struggle with the film and what its effect on his career, and the way that like producing or being the star of a movie that premiered in 1984 or 85. Google says 85, but in the film they say 84. So who knows? Advanced screenings.
One of those things.
How like in the middle of the AIDS crisis and like the Reagan era, like how hard it was to be closeted at that time, and it was good.
Yeah.
It's a good
But they
companion
talk
piece.
about
No, hold on.
Yeah.
Danny, speaking of the Reagan era, tell our beautiful listeners about the shirt
They
that you
can't
are
see it
wearing
yet.
for this
Mhm.
Pride Month. Describe it to our listeners.
They want to
Thank
know.
you, Sydney. Thank you for that. I wore this specifically for this episode because it's Pride themed episode, and so I'm wearing it's like kind of like a baseball tee, and
A ringer,
it's a
classic
ringer.
tee.
Thank you. Yes, that's better. Baseball tee would be the It
I'm
says
sorry.
it says on the chest, it's rainbow colored lettering, and it says Reagan's grave is a gender neutral bathroom, which is both inspirational and instructional.
We love
Oh,
it.
Well,
We
it's
love
honestly
it.
it was informative.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm-
the Reagan
I'm glad
was
to know.
As soon as we're done with this podcast, I'm gonna go over to Reagan's grave, take a shit.
Good.
it is local, I think.
I mean, not far.
It's in Seymour,
didn't-
isn't it? No, that's where the
yeah.
Reagan Library is.
It's
Does the whole
probably
library
basically
count as
at the
that
library.
too?
It's
I-
basically a big. I don't know.
I could
have
go take a
been.
shit on the library. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
they
thing.
did a Titanic.
Just go at night for
episode
that
there,
one.
unfortunately, once.
Can't stop me. I'll go whenever I want to.
Yeah. But Reagan gets name checked and has a little clip in that documentary, and they talk about a penetration in a sense scene in that documentary as well. But we'll get on that when we get to that relevant scene in the movie. But if you haven't seen the movie, here is the log line from IMDb. It reads, a teenage boy is haunted in his dreams by deceased child murderer Freddy Krueger, who is out to possess him in order to continue his reign of terror in the real world. Which is not bad log line, but I struggle with the fact that they call him Freddy in the title and in the log line and not at all ever in the movie. So
Right? They call
I
him
don't know
Fred
why.
Krueger.
yeah, they did that in
They're
the
not
first one too.
friendly.
I think he calls himself Freddy at one point in the first one, but he's a nickname guy, I guess, most of the time. But they've only
I've
got
heard
news
them
clippings
say
to go
Freddy
on.
once, but most of the time it's
Mm.
Fred.
Yeah.
So formal.
So formal.
Well, I mean, if you are a person experiencing a nighttime possession, like, are you going to use a cutesy little nickname for the person possessing you? I would be rather formal as well, just so you're not confused as to who I'm talking about. Oh, my guy Freddy has been possessing me at night.
I do feel like they're on pretty good terms. You know what I mean? I feel like they're close enough to use nicknames.
They certainly get close enough.
They certainly
I
are
think
so close.
Freddie
They're inside
thinks
each
they're
other.
close enough, but Jesse's not there
Mm.
yet, and you can't force that. It
That's
only
true.
happens
That's a
with
good
time.
point. Okay. But
You
yeah,
can't
I mean,
force
I
anything.
hadn't. So true. That's a whole. Also, I'm on a Kristen Milioti kick lately, I guess. By the way, because I'm about to launch into the beginning of this movie, which is when they're on the bus and then all of a sudden they're in the desert, and then the pits of hell open up, and it reminded me a little of Palm Springs. Kristen Milioti. We talked about her last episode as well. But also the forcing a nickname thing. What was the one in How I Met Your Mother? Teddy Westside or something like that.
I can't
Ted does a
remember.
whole thing about that. Anyway, it's not important. So they're on a bus in the beginning of this movie. But I hadn't seen it before. This was the first time I ever watched it. And I didn't look up anything beforehand. I knew there was a guy main character, but I didn't make the connection initially that the guy on the bus was our main character. He like looked, I thought for a moment like he was gonna be a young Freddy and Freddy's Revenge. This was like a little backstory for him, but that was not the case. What were your thoughts beginning of the movie, getting things rolling?
I just was like, what's going on?
Monica was like,
I
"No,
knew
it is
something
happening."
So lay of the land.
down because I watched a trailer for the movie because it played in the corner of my screen on my Amazon Fire Stick, and so it was unavoidable. And I saw a little picture of the bus on two big pillars of rocks, so I was like, "Ah, shit's gonna go down." And also, when they showed the bus driver really quickly, I was like, "Is that Bill Murray?" And then I was like, "No, but I know that guy," and it was Robert England who plays Freddy Krueger, but without the makeup on. And so
Awesome.
he who kind of looks a little bit like Bill Murray if you squint and you think about Bill Murray. So
Bill Murray
those are
on
some
the
of the
brain.
thoughts I was having. What about you?
I was mostly thinking that like the first movie is all, I don't know if this is like the official tagline, but it's like, you know, what happens in your dream, like if you die in your dreams, you die in real life or whatever, like that's the premise. And this movie is all about like taking the dream world into the real world. And I think that opening scene, not that you could know it just by watching that one scene, but like it's kind of the transition from the last movie into this movie, because it's like it's purely a dream, it's a nightmare, like, you know, nothing bad happens in that dream, but it's the beginning of it's shocking, it's the beginning of the rest of the movie where like,
Oh my god.
Have you heard that about the beginning of movies?
yeah,
That's so
sometimes
crazy.
movies start and then they keep going.
Oh my
and-
Wow.
yeah,
This
and so-
movie actually might have started that, I think.
wow, I
the
think you're
first
right about
one
that.
Started with this movie.
That's in
yeah.
the IMDb trivia.
Yeah.
I read that there. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and then it keeps going, and then you're back into the real world. You know, eventually we're in the real world by the end of the movie. The pool scene, we'll get there. Sydney, what?
My first thoughts were, are they still trying to pretend that this movie is set in Ohio?
They're literally in Joshua Tree. Like there were Joshua trees
I put on my
everywhere.
Joshua Tree shirt. But it's like, why are they doing Ohio? I mean, the fact that they changed the high school, first of all, made me angry. Because I like to see Monica's friendly neighbor
House.
on screen.
Yeah.
You know,
I
what
didn't
mean?
even clock that because, of course, they're still on Elm Street, like the same
Yes,
Elm Street.
literally
That's a huge
same
plot
house.
point. But all of the exteriors and just the Joshua Tree itself is like, no, that's California. Like that's not.
I think also maybe the reason it's at a different high school is so they wouldn't know Nancy that well and like the old cast people as well. So the story of what happened on Elm Street wouldn't be as familiar to them. Like obviously, what's his fucking name? I don't have IMDb up.
Grady? Schneider?
Grady, thank you. Yeah, Grady. Grady's
Love of my
obviously
life,
heard
Grady.
this story before, but like nobody else had. Like no one else
Yeah.
knew what was going on. So that makes sense to me. But I also was a little happy to not have to face my fears of Freddy being at my house again, because the last
Your house where you
movie-
live.
Yeah, I was high when I watched the last time, Danny. And my literal house is in the film. And I was like, if my house is in the film and I'm in my house and I'm watching the film, is Freddy Krueger here? And so I was
Mommy,
freaking out.
what a claim to fame.
Yeah, but literally it's in there. My house used to be a different color, a worse
Exteriors,
color.
interiors, what are we talking?
Exteriors, because the school is literally like
Right across the street.
right here.
Wow.
So yeah, it was fucking terrifying. So I'm glad I didn't have to face that again, but I was sober because I'm on antibiotics.
Are you trying
And
to tell me
so-
that Jesse's family moved into a house that's across the street from a high school and he goes to a different high school?
There's gotta have been some redistricting or something.
Yeah.
But they do.
But
They
schools
do
don't
drive.
move.
They
in the
drive.
first
They
one.
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's
they
like
drive
when they're
in Johnny
walking
Depp's
from
sexy
the car up to the school is when you get your glimpse
Got
of
it.
Monica inside looking out the window going,
Yeah,
I'm in the
me
movie.
as a ghost before I was born.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a
that's a
glimmer in
thing.
someone's eye.
the little twinkle, in the window going, one day I'm gonna cover this on a podcast. But alas, I don't know, maybe it's just because there was like a whole tragedy and a bunch of kids died last time, and they said we've got to destroy this school because clearly it's haunted. I don't know.
Maybe, but then you're veering into like Scream territory where they're really like, do you remember what happened to Sidney Prescott? And like they don't really do that in this movie.
That's the thing with this movie is like obviously it's the same house and they literally have Nancy's diary and they do the whole a girl in that house went crazy and her mom killed herself and blah blah blah. But also it's not super plot relevant. Like it helps inform the characters' situations, but there's the main talking point about this movie is that like it doesn't really jive with the rules of the first one, and it's kind of its own whole separate thing. Yeah, people think it's like the weakest of the franchise, and they think it just like is a completely different concept, which it is, but also I think it kind of makes a lot of narrative sense to do this as a sequel, to be like, he was haunting dreams in the first one, didn't work out, he's trying to do something different now, you know what I mean?
He's trying to mix
the
it
definition
up.
of insanity, yeah, blah blah blah. So
Well,
like I think it works if you work it, you know what I mean?
I think it works
if you work it.
And trust me, Freddy works it in this movie.
He
Oh my
doesn't work it
God.
as much as the first one, actually. I missed his long wiggly arms and all of
I-
his little
Yeah.
I was
gags,
just
but
speaking of
There's less
innuendo.
of that.
oh I mean he is
Mhm.
macking it hard
Yeah.
on a
Also,
couple different characters.
The
but
tagline for this movie is literally "The man of your dreams is back," which adds to the gay subtext. Like
That's
hardcore
gay.
thing. It's
Totally.
gay.
Mhm.
Also, we talked about this last time, but like Freddy is the gayest of the big three, just innately. Like
yeah.
before I saw this movie, I thought that too, just because he's got the most pizzazz and the most jazz hands.
Yeah.
Like what other guys doing jazz hands?
Yeah. He's
None
got that
of
old,
them.
He's got that old razzle dazzle.
He's got the old razzle dazzle. Does Leatherface do that? Absolutely not. He could never. Could Jason? Definitely not. Michael wouldn't dream of it. Okay, so this is why Freddy's superiority, except he's a pedophile. Ooh,
The various ghost faces,
Well, they're all
though,
kind
the
of
various
pedophiles.
ghost faces are doing their best.
true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Well, Ghostface, that's just because, you know, Billy and Stu were gay. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then everyone after them
moves.
had to be like, we're doing what they laid groundwork.
Yeah.
They made the blueprints.
Yeah.
We have
and
to be gay.
Scream is part
Um,
of like the biggest franchise ever, but it doesn't have the same longevity in the same way as the big three all sort of started like right around the
Yeah.
same time. So I put them in a different category.
and also
A higher
Scream,
one 'cause it's
Wes
not gay.
Craven. So, you know, like gay.
Totally. I'm with you.
Totally.
Speaking of gay, so right after that first scene, Jesse
Mhm.
wakes up in. Look, ladies, I'm gonna be real with you. Sometimes I sweat in my sleep. Sometimes
your
I wake
sleep?
up in my sleep.
In my
Sometimes I'm sleep.
sleep.
That's how I talk to my
Don't
dog.
I'm
bully
sleeping.
him.
I'm
He's
also
our
sweating.
That's how I talk to my dog. Are you sleepy? Sometimes I wake up.
I see what happened. Sleep, sweat. They came together for
Yeah.
sleeping, and it just makes sense.
It
Okay.
has nothing to do with the pet voice I use with my dog. No, sometimes, you know, it's the middle of summer, like you've had a hot dream, you wake up, you're covered in sweat. Not like Jesse. That boy, when he wakes up from his nightmare, he is drenched. I started,
Dripping.
as I was watching this film, I started a count in my notes, trying to count how many times a male is drenched in this movie, and I lost count. But it started with that one.
Wow.
It started
It's
there.
a lot.
That's
He's a
so
sweaty
important.
boy.
The
He's
drenched
out in the
males
rain.
count. Not the
He's
kill
in the
count. Forget
shower.
the kill count. The drenched
Yeah.
man count.
The kill count is pretty low in this movie. It's the drenched man count.
That's true, actually. What is the kill count?
I think a lot of
Two,
people
three?
die at the party.
Oh,
That's true.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, IMDb
We
said
rack
10,
up
I
like
think.
4, at least 3 that I can remember right now. But
And the
maybe
bird
one.
exploded. So,
yeah.
Yeah, 2 birds died.
Bird. 2
but
birds.
only one exploded. So that's
so
it's
true.
So,
So true. Before we get too far away from the very, very beginning, I missed this earlier when we were talking about how the first movie doesn't really matter to this one as much, but it actually does matter a whole bunch because they do this like weird, I thought it was so funny little trick when they first introduce Lisa's character. Like Jesse opens the door to let whoever this mystery girl in.
Yeah.
And it's the back of Lisa's head and she has the same fluffy hair like Nancy. And it's just like weirdly long shot of the back of her head. And then she turns around. And it's like, no, it's not Nancy. It's Lisa now. And I felt so very intentional and like they thought they were doing something. And I just laughed really hard. So it was special for me.
I had that same thought too. Or it's like that same kind of thing where you have a family sitcom and then randomly a big celebrity is on it one week and it's like, there's a knock at the door. Who could that be? And then they're like facing the other way and then they turn around and then like pause for live audience applause. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was 100% the vibes, as though it was like a big reveal of whoever she was. But then it's just, I mean, she's great. I like her a lot.
Lisa. We love Lisa.
Yeah,
Lisa
she's
does
wonderful.
a lot.
She saved the day.
And who amongst us has not been head over heels in love with a gay man?
Honestly, all of us.
Raise your hands.
I've
me, I
been
was
there
raising my
for
hand.
sure. 100%. One of my best friends, Kevin, we met freshman year of college and I was like, oh my God, I love Kevin. I have a huge crush on Kevin. And then like I'd known him for like 3 weeks and I was like, why is the vibe not there? And it took me like another 3 to really understand. Anyway, love
Monica, you came
Kevin.
out of college such a different person than the woman who entered college.
Yeah. Thank fucking God for college.
Is he single? What's up with him? Anyway, you guys go.
He has a boyfriend. I'm so sorry. But
should
we
be
love them. They're
apologized
very
separately.
nice. Anyway, okay. So where to start with this? This starts out with the bus and then it gets gay really fast. Like I rewatched it and the baseball scene is right away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's immediate.
Ass-tastic.
And it's not even the thing is right away, immediately in the baseball scene, Grady's up to bat. He does a little butt wiggle, and Jesse is so distracted that the baseball beans him in the face, fully in the face, because he can't pay attention.
See, this is why it's not subtext.
and jumping off of that, the reason why it's not subtext is if they wanted it to be subtext, he would just be wearing underwear, maybe tighty whities. He's wearing a jock strap, like both of them are, and you see full ass.
Full ass with because I forgot that's how jock straps work. So it's like a back reverse thong. I don't even understand how it stays on your body. I've obviously not worn one. But it
wraps around their hips and then wraps around like the under part of their butt cheeks. So then you just have like ass.
Frames the ass. It's beautiful. It's like a gorgeous
Danny,
photo. A gorgeous portrait.
Can I go get mine or?
Yeah, do you
Danny.
have one?
I love it.
Have you worn one?
You're so sporty.
Not for sports. for a
Just
whole
for
different
fun.
for a whole different kind of sport.
It's so important to have a jock
It's
strap.
really important to stay protected.
Guys, it's
During
Pride
sports.
Month, and you're asking me if I have a jock strap. The answer is plain.
The answer is, do you have to ask?
And he's like, in
yeah,
which
we
color?
apologize.
Okay.
Which brand?
But it
He just pantsses him like
I
full
know,
on
incredible.
immediate. And then not only does he pants him, he's like, and I want to wrestle. Let's rub our bodies all over each other immediately.
So
And then
Grady's
like,
also gay.
Oh yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And then the coach screams at them, assume the position.
Oh yeah.
Which
gay.
is like which is like
booty
planking.
up. Yeah.
But that is assume the position. That's like invitation to have gay sex.
Literally. These are the words that you say. Like these are commandments, okay? Like this is not who are you kidding?
And for the ladies in the audience, the women are doing archery at PE. That's pretty gay.
That is such an important point.
That is
very
very
crucial.
gay. of the women.
When I watched this with Adam, so I watched this with a straight person, which is my boyfriend.
Tragic.
Unfortunate to hear.
so I didn't-
Allegedly straight.
We can't push it any longer. He's straight, baby.
Yeah,
We've tried to influence.
I've
so long.
tried,
Yeah.
and he said, "Please stop." And I said, "I'm so sorry. I've crossed
He
the
told
line."
you to stop.
That's true. There's a loophole here.
Oh my
That's
god!
the loophole.
But his main takeaway from that scene was archery next to the baseball diamond. That's a disaster waiting to happen, which is an
So
important
close
point in
together.
perspective. That's waiting for someone to be killed.
You know, we went to a nice high school and they not once offered us archery.
Not one.
Honestly, let's sue.
The 80s were
But-
wild, man. Nobody cared.
Yeah, no
The
one
80s
gave a
were
fuck.
crazy. But yeah, I just love that it opens. I forgot, I was looking at my notes. I forgot that even before, right after the butt wiggle and the pay attention, Grady like pats him on his cheek. There's like a little cheek pat in there too. And then pantsing and then diving between the legs and then a brawl and then them planking next to each other, talking about how Coach Schneider, quote, gets his rocks off and hangs around queer S&M joints downtown and likes pretty boys like you. Like, Grady is calling him pretty. Grady thinks he's pretty.
He does think.
And
he's pretty.
Jesse's like, you think I'm pretty?
pretty?
Look at this ass, okay? Like, this ass
And
is
he's-
pretty.
immediately checking to see if Jesse's straight because he's like, "Oh, are you fucking that rich girl?" Blah 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 blah.
Immediately
Like that's
so
that's
invested
the
in
litmus
his
test.
Oh,
life.
Doesn't he say, are you mounting that
Oh,
yes.
boy.
girl
Are
or
you
something?
mounting her nightly or what?
Do I
That's the
hate that or
quote.
do I love that?
I love it.
I love it.
It's
That's what I'm gonna
spicy.
start using from now on. Like,
Are you mounting her nightly?
are you
Is somebody
mounting
said it
her
about
nightly?
me?
Turning to someone who just moved to town and saying,
Yeah.
"Are you mounting her nightly?"
If
That's
somebody
what
says
I'm
it about
gonna
me,
make-
I'd hate it. Between them, I love it.
Good
Because he's
distinction.
just getting the temp check. He's seeing what the deal is. And I also love that Jesse's like, "Do you have a problem with me?" And Grady's immediately like, "No, we're bros. What do you mean?"
We're immediately best friends, like 0 to
Bro,
100.
what makes you think I would have a problem with you? I
We
just
will-
want to see you with your pants off, and I just want to let you know that you're pretty, and I just want to know if you're fucking that girl.
We will get to this later, but Jesse left like what was about to be sex with a woman in order to go share a bed with Brady.
Yeah,
In the
They
middle of
say
the
that.
act.
They say those words essentially.
Grady is very hot, so I understand, and he's putting the
Totally.
vibe out. Lisa's also putting the vibe out, but when you kiss someone and then all of a sudden you're possessed by a monster, which is
Maybe.
and that monster is an
don't-
allegory for homosexuality. You gotta go see Grady.
We will get to this, I'm sure, but don't you think that if Lisa had seen that tongue, she would have been kind of into it?
Yes.
It was so gray though. That was alarming.
Yeah, it was really
It
good.
I
was
just-
like
Here's the
not
thing.
my
thought it-
color.
Toys
I'm gonna
are
get
a
dead
weird
no to the
color.
tongue.
But toys are toys.
But Chelsea, you can't see it when it's inside of you.
Danny, enough.
Danny's making
was giving-
points.
Danny,
It was
no.
giving tentacle, and
Do
so I'll
It's
leave
giving
it at that.
tentacle. She's right. You know,
And for
there's like,
some, that's not so off-putting.
there's that website that has like
Let me
the
clarify and say
dragon
that it is
dick
for me,
dildos.
okay?
It belongs there. That prosthetic tongue they use for that shot belongs on that website.
It was
That
beautiful.
tongue is canon.
Okay.
I hate that.
Wait,
One of my
Mm.
favorite things about Grady though is he in his locker has the pull out like
Yeah.
mirror.
He's also a pretty
Incredible.
boy.
So
Vanity.
gay.
his
Here's the thing,
hair
He wears
is
his
always
little army
really good.
shorts.
The
Yeah.
entire movie, you literally just sit and watch, and you're just like, "That's gay. That's gay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's gay.
Every
that's
time
gay."
every time they had the option to make the gay choice, they did.
They
did.
went there.
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah.
and the gain is just triples is not. I was trying to say something more dramatic, but triples came out.
3 times.
3 times the size. The gayness grew in the next moment.
Something grew 3 times the
Something
size.
grew. Oh my god.
Hey.
But the next scene that we get pretty much is his first dream where Freddy like makes contact with him, and that's like one of the all-time gayest moments of the entire film, because like Jesse thinks he's awake. Thinks there's an intruder in the house. He goes to try to figure out what's happening in the boiler room, and then someone is down there like fighting the door with him, and he tries to run away, and Jesse's right there. I mean, not Jesse, Freddy. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Their names rhyme. Freddy's right there, caressing his face with his many knives on his fingers, like
saying, "Daddy can't help you now."
Nobody said daddy. He said dad, and then Freddy went, no, let's bring the word daddy into this.
And let's just talk about, because we all watched this documentary, the Scream Comma Queen documentary with Mark Patton, who plays Jesse Walsh. And there's all these amazing interviews with Robert Englund in that documentary, and like I loved him before, but I love him so much more now, because he was like, I read it was obviously gay, and so I was playing that up. I was like, hey, like, Mark, is it okay if I put my knife finger in your mouth? Because I'm picking up there's some gay vibes here, and I think we should do something with that. Like, he was just totally in it and picked it up right away, whereas everyone else, including the director and the writer and everyone else, were like, it's not gay, what are you talking about? There's nothing more straight that I've ever seen in my life. Idiots, liars. Honestly, as well.
No,
the director said that, and then Mark Patton in the documentary was like, I believe you, because the guy who plays Grady, whose name is like Rob Ressler, that's not it exactly, it's something
Robert
like that,
Ressler, that's it.
Oh my god, look at me. I'm the smartest girl in the world. But Robert Ressler was like, you knew, like, he immediately was like, no, I knew from my audition you were the director, how could you not have known? But Mark Patton really believes him that he didn't know, and yet that bar scene, come on.
Well, I was just gonna say
alone.
The director, I just think that director was so ignorantly straight that maybe he didn't clock any of this, because they say in the documentary that when they were location scouting for the bar scene, that it's a gay bar. It was a real gay bar in West Hollywood, and the director's like, I didn't know that.
Right, but like, then you filled it with a bunch of gay people for the shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
even if you thought you found a regular bar.
Their very next point after when they were discussing that was, he goes, I didn't know it was a gay bar. I just filled it with transsexuals. as if that's any different.
Right. I just filled it with transsexuals. An innocent man, an innocent director, filling just any old bar with transsexuals.
Anybody would do that. That doesn't make it gay. Which just, he's right. But
Robert Englund ain't no fucking fool. He is amazing, and he has immaculate vibes, and he's aging well and looking more and more like a beautiful leprechaun or wizard as he ages. Just saying. I'm looking at a picture of him right now, and he looks like he's friends with Gandalf. He looks fun. He looks like a fae, like he's part of the fae kind.
Monty, I see it. He does kind of look like Bill Murray.
Yeah, thank you. He looks like elf version of Bill Murray. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the scene that I was kind of alluding to earlier, is like when they're by the stairs and Freddy like pushes up against him and like strokes his face with the knife blade, and was like, he asked Robert Pattinson. He asked Mark Patton, can I put the blade in your mouth? And Mark Patton was like kind of down, it seems like, until somebody else came over and was like, that's gonna be too gay, and it's gonna look like you're blowing him, is what he said. It's gonna look like you're blowing him. And that's when he was like, okay, I guess we have to dial it back. But I mean, his life context that he talked about in that documentary, like Danny was saying a little bit earlier, he talked about what it was like being not an out gay actor. He very much specifies he was not out at the time. But being a gay actor, it was during the AIDS crisis. He had a partner at the time who had AIDS and went on to die from AIDS.
He
and
got
so there was
AIDS.
yeah, he had AIDS. I don't know the
He has
nomenclature.
HIV.
I think
He's- He said he had AIDS, but then, he said he's fine.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
survived
yeah.
it, and he also got TB and cancer all at the same time. He
Yeah.
had a really
which
bad time.
sucks. That is sucks.
That is a
I'm
lot.
so glad he's still here. I'm so glad he's still here. But I can't imagine the pressure, because he talked a lot about like the homophobia in Hollywood, and he talked a lot about how after the movie his agents were like, you did great, you can carry a film, but you can't play straight, so we have to put you in like character actor roles instead of like romantic leads, even though you're good enough, you're charismatic enough, people like you enough, but you would not have believable chemistry with a woman. And so it's just like they kind of dropped him, and then he kind of just dipped and went and started a new life for himself. But yeah, I mean, he said he woke up like halfway through the film and like realized what the movie was and like what the subtext was, essentially. And I don't know, I obviously love the film, but there was something that they talked about in the documentary with the writer, whose name is
David Chaskin.
Yeah. And David
I remember his
Chaskin-
name because I want to slap him for an
Mhm.
hour
Yes.
and
Give
him a big ol'
39
slap in the
minutes today
face.
while
Yeah.
watching that documentary.
Yeah, he has a very unbecoming
Whole
quote.
face. Oh, sorry.
That too. He has a very unbecoming quote that he later says he didn't mean, and it was like a joke, but it was very clear that it had like a really horrible effect on Mark.
That's what
Patton.
every fucking bully says.
I know.
It was
Yeah,
just
they're
a
like, oh, I
joke.
was kidding. You took it the wrong way.
And the thing is, like, I could see it being a joke if it didn't ring so true with the movie itself. Because what he said was basically like, this isn't a homoerotic movie, it's a homophobic movie, and it should be shown in conversion camps. And not to jump to the end of this film, but I mean, if you're not viewing it from a specifically queer lens, being like, I'm rooting for this queer character and I love him, isn't it kind of like the power of straight love saves him from being gay and the monster inside of him, blah, blah, blah. Like, that is shady.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it a little, the ending. I was like,
But it's 85, so we weren't going to get the actual, we weren't going to get a Pride movie,
Right. And I didn't
weren't.
expect it to be a Pride movie. And I think it lends itself to being read as like platonic love and like friendship, and they really don't like hammer down the romance after Jesse like comes back to himself at the end. They kind of like let that thread drop for the most part at that point.
Wait, what were you gonna say, Danny?
I just think that, like, David Chaskin just must not be a great screenwriter, because if his intention was to have it be so subtextually homophobic, or if the homoeroticism was supposed to be more subtextual than it was, that was not counterbalanced by the homophobic ending that he was, like, by his own words, intending.
Yeah.
And watching the film, like, yes, we come to it with a whole different perspective, even not as queer people, but just anybody who lives in the year of our Lord 2022 watching this film, like, it is so, the scales are so tipped in the direction of homoeroticism that the punch at the end of perhaps homophobia really doesn't land, because you've just watched perhaps not a celebrate. I mean, Jesse's not like happy about any of this happening to him, but it's so eroticized. Every scene is eroticized. He wakes up with a snake on him, like a phallus covered.
That's
covering
gay.
his body, and it's so gay that it just doesn't seem like whatever the intention of the screenwriter was at the end of the movie. That punch lands so softly because of everything else that happened before it.
And totally, and it doesn't feel like straightness winning in that way to me. It kind of felt more like a sad thing, like kind of now reflecting on it. I didn't get to rewatch the ending after watching the documentary, which I really wanted to, but like just putting the two together in my memory, like it's part of what they talked about in the movie was how like in the 70s people were, it was like with disco and everything, people were kind of out in a like quieter way. So like quote in the movie, everyone was bisexual, everyone was hooking up with whoever they wanted to. Sounds like utopia, honestly.
Honestly, a great time.
Yeah, and it was just like they used the phrase "don't ask, don't tell," but it was just like no one was labeling themselves, but they were doing what they wanted to do because they felt like that they could in the safety of the disco community and all of that. But then when the AIDS epidemic started, like there was just like, and the 80s, like, you know, under Reagan, like things got much more conservative. Gay people were like villainized and said to be like horrible creatures, like horrible shit, so that people had to go right back into the fucking closet. So that's kind of what the ending feels like to me too, is like if there's a read where Freddy is like a physical representation of his homosexuality, which is fucked up, you know, it's not a perfect analogy, but here we are. But like the fact that Freddy is defeated, it just like he just goes back inside of Jesse. It's like he like goes back into the closet. So it's not like love wins, because obviously that's not what happens. The end isn't a happy ending anyway. He gets on that bus, and then crazy Robert Englund, the bus driver, drives him straight back into the desert, you know? So like it doesn't win.
It's almost inspirational. It's almost like you're going
you
to
can't
be
fight
queer
the
no
Canaans.
matter what. Like, and I know this is like such a fucked up perspective, but like, you know, when he's in Grady's bedroom and like Freddy is literally ripping through him to like come out of his body, like
hot in
that
a bad way.
It's like it's hot in a bad way, but it's also like he it's a physical coming out, and it's supposed to be gruesome and gory because of because it's a horror movie or whatever, because it's a slasher from 1985. But it's also like kind of sweet. Like he's like spending the night with his, you know, like if you were choosing to look at it actively from a queer positivity angle, it's like it doesn't have to be gruesome and gory. Like he cannot contain his queerness. His queerness must be free because he's with the boy he wants to be
from
with.
his chest. I also just visually loved that scene so much because like his one arm turns into Freddy's arms with the knives, and then the head comes through his chest, and then like the other part of his body, just like Jesse's original body, like falls back, and it's like the same arm is Freddy's arm, and then his head comes out of the chest cavity. I just thought it was really cool how they did that, and I loved the fake Freddy head, and I loved like the outline of the nose and stuff through his tummy. Incredible art, high art.
And I loved him pinned against the door too. Like the actual murder itself was so good.
That also hot. Put me up against the door. It's like
pin me up against the door.
It's like the tall woman. It's like the big woman with the little woman. You know that meme?
We
the
do
big,
love that
sexy
meme.
woman, and she picks up the little woman. I bring this up a lot because I long to be the little woman just once, but I'm too big.
You mean where they're up against a fence? Am I thinking of the right?
No,
meme?
it's against
a wall.
Danny.
It's a still from a porn. I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking of a different meme.
I'll send it to you. I'm
thinking of a different meme.
I'm gonna Google big woman meme anyway, and continue on with the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to the beginning a little bit, maybe, before we get to the party scene again, because that's way later. But I think that the snake part is so fucked up because, like, the snake is really on him. Why is he getting in trouble that the snake escaped its enclosure?
And not only is it a dream snake, but it's a real snake in the classroom, and no one noticed Jesse like got up and put the snake on him or something. How did it get there?
How did the snake get there?
Grady did it.
Did he?
Grady kind of like makes fun of him, and then like Jesse flips him off, but he also has like this little smirk on his face, so they're flirting. But I kind of just imagined that the snake came to Jesse, and because Jesse was sleeping, he didn't notice until it was fully on him, and then he was having the dream of it constricting around his neck. But again, why is it his fault?
The choreography of this event. Jesse is on the opposite side of the classroom from the snake. So no one in the class noticed the snake, noticed it crawling up Jesse, and woke him up before it was already on him when he's sleeping in class.
Listen,
I mean,
everybody
I
was
think
maybe
it
they
was
did
Grady.
notice. Maybe they loved it.
And
is
he's the
thing.
new
They
kid,
were all
and they're
laughing.
hazing him.
Everybody
Yeah.
was too distracted by the heart that was on the table. That the
Yeah.
teacher just
Oh, yeah.
slapped on
Where did he
there.
get that from? Does he have a mini fridge underneath there? Like,
He just
otherwise,
carries it
that's
around.
a disgusting thing.
Should I go get my heart? You don't have a heart?
You know what
I-
I heart?
I actually
the one
have
that
a
I
chicken
couldn't
heart
just
in a
really
jar.
got
I was
my
gonna say,
chest.
Sydney just got a heart.
I just bought a
It's her
chicken heart in a
first
jar.
Join the club.
I
Can
really
we?
think that Grady did it though, because I think we were in Jesse's perspective for a second, so we didn't see it
Okay.
happening because he was asleep, maybe. Because like
Yeah,
Grady looks fucking guilty as heck. He's
That's
like,
the
"Hey."
that's the
will
only thing that makes
say-
sense.
The blocking is so strange and disorienting at so many different points in this movie that I'm perfectly willing to believe that happened off screen and we just didn't see it. There are so many moments where it's like Lisa is standing on one side of Jesse, and then a moment later she's standing on the other side of Jesse with her hands on his head as though she's exercising him. And there's so many things like that. I think it fits just fine. It doesn't matter. We don't need to see him getting up and moving around. It's really all implied.
And we don't need to harp on it. I'm sorry that I did, but I just
Grady puts his snake on him, and I think that that's canon.
That's why I like that. That's why I
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that exactly. But Sydney, what did you want to bring up?
I wanted to bring up my absolute favorite scene in this movie, which is
Ooh, do tell.
the PE or like the PE teacher shower scene.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna
Yes.
see the scene where he pops his pussy.
no.
Well,
We should
that-
talk about that
dancing.
too.
That's also a great one.
That's what I was gonna mention.
And it is next chronologically.
Okay, let's do that. But we got to
Okay.
talk about the ropes.
We
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
shan't
Oh,
miss
it's
it. We
soon.
shan't.
Oh,
It
we
is
won't
soon.
miss it. We won't miss it. But yeah, I mean, a boy can dance. Can
boy
he
can
dance?
dance.
Yes. The
A
answer
boy
is
who has
yes.
a no chicks sign on his door that he DIY'd because it said
I
something else.
missed
I
that.
have no idea what it said
Oh.
because I couldn't figure it out
I
exactly.
couldn't figure
But
that out either.
no checks or something. I don't know. He put an I over the middle letter, so it says no chicks. And
This
I
is
just think that really
something-
speaks to his character.
This is
And-
something that I relate to him on because I too have a sign on my door to my childhood bedroom. And on that sign, it says Jonas Brothers fans only. And it has like an X next to it. And then I stopped
And-
being a huge super fan of the Jonas Brothers. Danny, it gets better but worse in college. And I was like, this is so mortifying. I'm gonna change it instead of taking it down. And I decoupaged the words the Beatles on like playing cards and stuck it over where it says Jonas Brothers. So now to this day it says Beatles fans only on the door to my bedroom. Thank
That's
you.
not worse. That's just better.
Okay, good.
prefer
I'll take a
Jonas
picture of
Brothers
it.
fans
I
only,
saw it today. Anyway, so
Like the best
gotta
of
set
the
the
better
rules.
would have been just taking the whole thing down, but I'll take what I can get.
I
no,
just
that
think
didn't
you
occur
should
to young
change it
Monica.
every few years. And now it should be
Yeah, what's it gonna be
um,
now, Monty?
or
NCR?
Freddy's
Fans
Revenge
only.
fans
Yeah.
only. You
Yeah.
have to like Freddy's Revenge specifically.
Yeah.
And how could
Just
you
us can
not?
go to my
How could
room.
you not? No, that boy is dancing his heart out. He's leaving it all on the dance floor, and
really is.
you know
He's got props.
He's got props. He can't clean his room to save his life because I mean
No.
maybe I'm just
He's-
type A, but that's not how I put stuff in drawers.
I
Look,
was like,
the
he thinks he's-
organizational system later, it's gonna bite him in the butt.
It sure
That's
is.
exactly
where
it. He
shit
thinks
is.
he's spiting his dad, but he's only hurting himself.
You
and
are
it's
so
so
right.
sad to see.
And do you know what I thought of when he was doing that? I was like, this is, you know how you love, no matter where you are, you just love finding like $5 in a jacket pocket or whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the way that he's
Greatest
cleaning
high.
his room, he's gonna open some drawer one day and be like, oh my God, I love this shirt. I haven't seen this in months.
I was
I haven't
cleaning
seen this
my
in years.
I had COVID a couple weeks ago, and I felt okay. So I was just so bored. And I cleaned my apartment, and I found this necklace that I had sitting by the sink. It had been sitting by the sink who knows how long. But I was like, this is so cute. Why don't I wear this? So now I have it on right now. I mean, you gotta, but you.
It's like going
Sometimes it's
shopping in
nice.
your own
You
closet.
discover little gifts. Yeah, I found
Totally.
so many things I didn't know that I had.
I'm so
but
organized
also,
that that'll never happen to me. Like I
it would
know
be nice
all
to
the
know
clothes
what you
I have.
have. I imagine that feels great.
Yeah,
I love
not,
that
it's
for
not
you.
as surprising.
Yeah. But that scene is also important, not only because he's having his pussy and then Lisa walks in right as he's doing that and booty bumping the drawer, which apparently was like peak gay to homophobes watching that scene, which is like, okay, but did you watch the rest of the movie? Because that's like not peak gay.
The drawer ass was peak gay.
That whole thing, apparently he danced too gay for audiences or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think the peak gay, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, was when he was using his little microphone as like a
dick,
A dick.
thing, and
Yeah.
he like
And
right
it's
before
It's
he
some
like
sort of like ball in a cup popper thing. Like I can't even tell what it is really, but it's that. I mean, I don't know actually, Sydney. I might have to disagree there because when he pops, like almost literally, that's right when Lisa walks in, and that's pretty hetero. That he's
Yeah,
like
it's
popping on a
true.
lady.
I think he was interrupted, quite frankly, by a straight woman, and
Yeah.
I think that's
Not
pretty
his
gay.
fault.
It's not. I'm with you, and I
Like
agree,
straight
it's not his
women
fault.
always just want to be up in a gay man's business.
Yeah,
true.
it's like when you're watching a gay porn and like a lady is there like for the story or something.
Okay,
you know
but
what I
don't
mean?
even get me started about
story?
the salad gay porn, which is my favorite porn in existence.
I don't know
Right
what
in
that
front
is.
of my salad.
Yeah, it's
Gorgeous.
kind of like that.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Lisa is just a straight woman in a gay porn.
Gay porn.
The poor thing. She had no idea.
She really didn't.
She had no idea. She was so upset. She's like, oh my, it's like me freshman year. Why doesn't he like me back? I thought we were spending all this quality time and sharing secrets. He doesn't like women, Monica. He doesn't like women, Lisa. Okay? You gotta learn.
But he's gonna be your best friend in 10 years.
Exactly. They'll always be friends and they'll laugh about it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they also, that's the same scene where they discover Nancy's alternately very horny and very horror journal, where for some reason they decided to include Jesse and Lisa reading that scene of where Nancy's being like, I want Glenn. He's so the way I desire him, blah blah blah. Which was, you know, funny. And I don't know if it was meant to be like a sexy moment between them, but to me it really underlined how completely not sexy things are between them. That is true bestie vibes.
I think it was supposed to be a sexy moment between them, but he's reading the journal and like trying to hide his boner.
Right.
Like he's
Boner
not
from
sexy for her.
Imagining Grady.
He's sexy for Glenn.
He heard that Glenn is a sexy guy and he was like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
tell me about this Glenn. But yeah, I mean, I just think that scene is great. And then it leads into the next dream scene where like everything is melting and he finds the glove, and that's really where things start to transition into real life.
But there are more phalluses in this dream. The lamps are like melting into cummy dicks.
Ew.
Oh, yeah.
One of
Too
the lamps
true,
looks like a
bestie.
dick and it's dripping.
It's true. That and it's gross because the cum shouldn't be that color, but that's what's
No.
happening.
Ignore
What
the
are they
color.
eating?
Something wrong. Yeah, I love all the melty stuff in this. The theme is shit is getting hot, heated,
And
and
It
heavy.
really keeps us grounded in reality, because when I was in high school, I left like something plastic on a lamp and it melted all over everything. So that has happened to me. It didn't create a phallic shape that was dripping cum, but It did happen.
It got close. But yeah, then we get the quote with Grady where he says, "Hey Grady, do you remember his dreams?" And he says, "Only the wet ones."
Incredible.
Again, just the most between them. And then the bird explodes.
Yeah. The bird is so
Bird
gay, it bursts
exploding.
into flames.
Oh my God.
Everything about this
So-
movie is gay.
They have birds. Like there's something there. There's something just with them having birds. I don't know if it's gay, but there's something.
Birds
They're a
are
bird
gay.
family. Birds are innately gay.
And
As
is that
someone
like an
who
80s
is
thing?
gay,
Who has birds
I love
anymore?
birds. I love
Danny
birds. I don't ever
Silver.
want one in my house.
Cooper.
birds
Danny
in
Silver
Paris.
is a bird person.
That's a pretty old bird. That bird is like 20, 30
Her
years
bird
old.
is new.
She
She
got
got
a
a
new
new
bird.
bird.
There's
She's
a person.
committed to being a bird person. God love her. She is committed
She
to
likes
being a
animals.
bird person.
She's an
I
animal.
slept in her apartment. She let it fly around the room. I was afraid.
I
I'm
had a
not
gay
down
bird
for
growing
that.
up, so representation.
All birds
We-
are gay.
We had a bird named Otis who only liked men. He would like if you were a man, he'd like sit on your shoulder and like coo and like rub his head on your thing. And if you were a woman, he would go and like hiss at you. He did not like women. So
It sounds
we
like
were
he
like,
probably
Otis
knew
is
this
gay.
bird because this bird was so gay it burst into flames.
It
Okay.
was literally flaming.
Here's
It was
the thing
literally flaming.
Literally
all know
flaming.
that birds are gay, and that's why Reagan killed all of the birds. And then the birds you see today are spies for the bourgeoisie.
Don't say
That's
that.
it.
Because-
No, that's true.
today birds are not real.
Mm-mm.
That makes me upset because I love
But
birds.
it wasn't Reagan. It was Nixon, I thought.
Oh, was it? I don't know the conspiracy.
We just are blaming Reagan for everything this
Yeah,
episode.
it's all Reagan's fault.
He's
it's
done
probably
enough.
his fault.
I almost died over the weekend because I was riding my bike down Mulholland Drive and I saw the most beautiful like red hawk fly in front of me and I was like, wow. And instead of looking at the road, I was looking at the hawk and then I like hit a patch of gravel and I was like, "Argh." Anyway, so I'll die for the birds. But this bird
Mulholland,
died
a
for
famously windy street.
yes. It was so magical. But
Maybe
okay.
there are some wild gay birds that are still out there.
That was one of them. That one was one of them. But
Yeah.
let me just say, as a person who exists, who watched this film for the very first time, when the birds started occurring, when the birdemic started occurring within this film, and the bird
Mhm.
one bird immediately killed, terrible. The other bird is flying around, it's ripping moles off of dad's faces, it's dive bombing cute blonde daughter, like it's doing all this crazy shit. Did I ever expect out of anything for anything to happen with this bird that it would explode? No, never would I've ever expected this. I thought it would turn into Freddy's face or something before it would explode into like a bomb. And the fact that the dad, fuck the dad, but like the fact that the dad was like, you fucking blew up the bird, Jesse. This bird just blew up. It's you, Jesse. You blew up the bird. You put a cherry bomb in the bird. What do you think of your son? If you
He
think
was
your son
upstairs.
is blowing up birds and then you still won't send him to therapy, like you deserve to go to jail. Like, are
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
kidding me?
He's a bad dad.
He's a
He's
bad dad.
the worst. He's the worst. But that accusation is what eventually drives Jesse out of the house and to the gay bar, where we get our lead in to the shower scene, because he's like walking into the bar. Dom's place is what it's called. And it is
Incredible.
full of
Reality,
queer
is it
people, and
Akbar?
is
Because-
so incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish. No, they said it was called like, I don't want to say it was called the toilet because that sounds mean, but I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's what
said
they
toilet
said.
bar,
Yeah.
yeah. That doesn't
And
exist
so
anymore,
I
don't think.
choose toilet bar affectionate.
I don't know if I
But-
want to go there.
That's a great bar
It's
name.
probably
I would go to a
closed.
bar called Toilet Bar. Yeah, no, it doesn't exist anymore. I don't think. I would have tried to go there. There's not. I don't think it's.
Yeah,
it's
I
in
mean,
WeHo.
you Google toilet bar and it just is talking about the bars that you use to like help yourself onto
like
the
an old
toilet.
person.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Or
The
someone
thing
who's
is-
disabled, or I don't
That
know. I don't
works-
know. Are there gay sex in the bathroom connotations for that? Maybe I don't. For
I'm sure we could think of some.
steadiness, perhaps.
Okay, but let's talk about the S&M bar. Like, what's it called? Dom's Place. I
Toilet
will.
bar.
I
Yeah.
want to go there. Like
want to go there.
clientele, I was like, this sounds
Yeah.
like the place. Everyone's got the hair that I wish that I had. The
look
vibe.
like-
It seems like everyone has chisme, you know, as they go
Yeah.
pay them through the bar. Everybody's talking shit. It's good.
Like everyone who
kind
does
of
the time
place-
warp in Rocky Horror.
Yes. Yes. Fully yes.
But it's fully the kind of place where you can show up in your leather outfit. And we need those,
yeah.
and that's important.
There's a big leather daddy scene at that bar. 100%.
I just feel were I a high school teacher and I was in my leather and at the gay bar and I saw one of my students, I would simply not approach. I would be like, I'm off the clock. This is not my business. I'm gonna be in my leather over here with the other leather daddies. I would not approach. But Coach Schneider decides that it's his business. And not only is it his business, and not only should he, as an older queer person, have been like, oh, my young student has come to the gay bar. Perhaps they need a mentor, or perhaps they need some guidance, or perhaps they would like to talk. He's like, no, I'm going to drag this student back to the high school and make him run laps in wet denim. That's the worst
I
torture
know.
possible.
Wasn't this a dream?
Anything in wet denim
Oh, it was
is
real.
torture.
That's the thing. All of the shit that happens, except for like the first dream sequence and probably the first boiler room sequence, it's like all reality now because he takes
Right.
over
Yeah.
Jesse. It's so
Right.
weird. I was like, this is such a crazy dream. And then I was like, oh my God, it's not.
This is really leaning into my theory that David Chaskin is a bad screenwriter because Chelsea makes a great point. Why would they go to the high school?
No, well, okay, then that also
Right.
turns his character into like a weird creepazoid because he's like punishing him in the middle of the night when he's probably drunk. Like it's super inappropriate to make
Yeah,
him
he's
run
a
laps in the
pedo.
middle of the night. That's not chill.
And
It's
in
like
the
kind of
shower.
villainizing him more.
Now take a shower with me.
Ugh. But he does not. Okay, he
Gross.
doesn't do that. He doesn't do that.
They end up in the shower.
Well, that's because Freddy like, possesses all the gym equipment and literally like strings him
Drags
up
him
on
in.
the shower. So that was not.
Freddy's like, I'm gonna throw balls in this man's face and then use some jump ropes to be sexy and drag him across the
Spank him.
Those
floor.
were some sexy
Towels.
jump ropes. They wouldn't have gotten to the locker room if the coach hadn't led them there. You know,
No,
Freddie hadn't
yeah,
take over at
that's
that
true.
point. You know,
And he like shoves him into the folding chairs after the laps. Like he's just being a little bitch for no
he's
reason.
being fucked up. Yeah, for
He
sure
would
he's
not-
being fucked up.
I mean, look, gay people are just like anybody else, and so you're allowed to be gay and also suck as a person. But I just feel like that is, if a gay person wrote this film, they would understand that the older queer gym teacher seeing their student at a bar would not immediately be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drag you to the high school and make you. First of all, the teacher would probably not out themselves. Second of all, if they did,
Right, the teacher would have hid in the bathroom.
if they did choose to out themselves, I don't think it would be like a "what are you doing here? Let's go run laps" kind of deal. Like I just am not buying it.
That would literally
Um,
never happen.
It would
couldn't.
literally never
No.
happen. But unfortunately, it does lead to the shower scene, which is great. So it has to be there. You know what I mean?
I think that's
um,
the best scene in the movie.
That's
It's
maybe
incredible.
peak gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's the thing too. I'm gonna say something so
Okay.
brave, but that shower scene looked real fun.
I was
Like I was like, I'm interested in this shower scene.
The way
I was
his
interested
clothes
in how his-
rip off.
exactly the words I was about to say at the exact same
Oh.
time. Like they all came out at the exact same time. Like it's beautiful. I want a rip away outfit. You never know when you need to be naked immediately. It's very
Sydney
helpful.
mentioned the beautiful jump ropes and the towel snapping. Like it
Mhm.
looks kind of
That-
fun.
That was
To me, it looked.
the jump ropes and the towel snapping is exactly where I want
I
to be.
feel like his butt started bleeding immediately, which that would not be for me. But some people are down for that. So
Here's the thing.
And-
That towel's
and-
gonna
and-
leave a
and-
nice bruise.
Yeah, I don't want to
Cindy loves
bleed,
a
but I'm
beautiful.
okay with a bruise.
See? A little bruising is very nice. Very fun.
Yeah, I also don't want to die, which is what happens to Coach.
yeah,
Yeah.
ideally that would be avoidable.
And on second watch, there is also
Okay.
a really cool part of that scene where like you see Jesse like cowering in fear, and then the steam gets really, really hot and heavy, and it covers the whole screen, and then it goes, and then like Freddy walks through that steam, and so that's how you know that like he's become Freddy, and he's the one that slashes Coach's back and actually kills him in the end. So, retro.
Which that scene was shot really cool. And one of my other funny little details that I noticed, after he gets slashed and he died, and they showed the showers like spraying blood, the actual shower kind of looks like a flaccid dick.
Love that. Love that
Ew.
attention to detail.
Too true. You're so right. That's actually
It's just like
it does. The little
But-
head, yeah.
Between the script and the director, they just cannot stay away from like phallic imagery, gay subjects.
Who was the gay man who was whispering in their ears?
Totally.
That's got to be what it
Who
was.
was the
There's someone
cinematographer?
behind the
Yeah.
scenes
the
who was like, "This would be a good idea."
like the production
What
designer or
about
something.
this? Yeah.
I
Mm.
don't know who it was, but I do know there was a lot of studio involvement on this movie.
The studio is
Um,
innately gay.
Perhaps.
Death's not, but I love where you're
No,
going.
Yeah, I mean, industry wise, probably no.
Definitely
But
not.
Robert Shea was a producer on the film and worked for the studio. He might have been the studio president, maybe. I can't remember from my notes exactly. He wanted to even like play the dad, one of the characters' dads, I think. Let me check my notes.
Bitch, are you
Like-
in SAG? Anyway.
I don't know. But he did come up with the line, "You've got the body, I've got the brains." So he is making some points. But he was just very involved, and he did play the S&M bartender at the gay bar. So that was
Right.
his cameo that he did end up doing instead of playing one of the dads. But also he was the one. Originally, Robert Englund wasn't gonna come back as Freddy. They like hired a stunt man to play Freddy. They like never even occurred to them to ask Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in the first one, to come back. They were just like, that's why, who knows what happened at the end of that movie? We're not gonna address that. We're just gonna do a totally new plot.
Gotta wait till Dream Warriors. I think
Gotta
she's in
wait
that
till
one.
Dream Warriors. Yeah, she is. She's in like 1, 3, and 7, I think. Which, you know, I haven't seen those, so I don't really know how she comes back or what are the circumstances, but I know that she does. But I think they hadn't figured out how to do that, or if they wanted to do that yet, and they didn't even like broach it as an idea. They just like did a totally separate thing. But Robert Englund, they weren't bringing him back. And then after 2 weeks of filming, they were like, no, we need Freddy to come be Freddy. So that's important.
No one
What does
else
Freddy
can
do?
fucking do what he does.
No one can do it what
No
he
one can
does.
fucking do what he does.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the party scene.
Mhm.
Because it is sort of the piece de resistance here. There's a lot of amazing scenes, but it really goes batshit here. Lisa has pretty chill parents, it seems, that they let her have these big cool parties at her house, but they also are deeply involved, which is how I feel like I would be if I was a parent and I let my kid have a party. So
just-
maybe
This
that's why
house,
I'm not
though,
gonna have kids.
Did you see her doing laps in the pool? I mean, it's a nice house.
Yeah.
It's a very nice house.
Here's the thing.
Good backyard.
Lisa's parents are horny and they're like, you know what? We're gonna let you throw this pool party and we're gonna go fuck.
Yeah.
Like, do not.
And apparently that's how they always
bother
do it,
us.
because they were waiting for the lights to go out in that room before they brought out their pre-prepared wagon of beer.
Love a
They're like,
Ew.
they've got a system for these parties.
It's very important. They changed the music. Everyone started immediately fucking like all around.
It got
We
so
just got
loud,
so
all of a
horny and
sudden.
loud. It was beautiful. It was very well executed.
I can't remember if it's right before the party scene or like while he's, maybe it's after. No, because then he's Freddy and killing everyone. My favorite quote in this movie, I'm sure is probably might also be yours, is when he's talking to Lisa and he's in the stairwell. Is this after the movie, after the party? Anyway, he says, he's inside me, Fred Krueger, he's inside me and he wants to take me again. And I just, that quote just captures everything about this movie to me.
Yeah, that
It's
quote.
the text.
Plus when he goes to Grady and he says like he wants to take, or something is trying to get inside my body, and Grady says, yeah, she's female and she's waiting for you in the cabana and you want to sleep with me. Like, those two alone, you could take out the gay bar scene, you could take out the S&M sequence, you could take out the pantsing and the wet dreams and the pretty boy blah blah blah. That alone, that covers all your gay bases. That is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Totally agree.
It's beautiful writing. Too bad David is a...
Yeah. One thing I really liked about the party scene and about Lisa in general is just like, from the first moment, she's so game. She's so down. She immediately believes him. There's no like wibbling wobbling about that. You know what I mean? She's immediately like, okay, you've got premonitions. How does that work? What's the deal? Should we go to the crime scene and see if you get a funny feeling? Like, she's so all about it from the get-go.
She's so
which is
caring.
Yeah.
She helped him unpack his room they just met.
Right?
I would not do that.
She's a little horny. She wants him.
Yeah.
Sure. And like, who can blame her? He's a cutie.
He's very handsome.
He is a cutie.
I just think that I was listening to our Nightmare on Elm Street podcast episode from last year. And a little bit Tina and Nancy are sort of on the same page, but not enough. Nobody else is listening to Nancy, even when she pulls a hat out of thin air from the dream and has her gray streak in her hair appear and a slash on her arm. Like, there's definitive proof in that movie that something is happening and nobody believes her. This movie, at that point, there's no proof, but Lisa immediately is like, I believe you, tell me more. How can I help? To the extent that when Freddy is attacking her at the party, she's like, okay, I know that you're still in there, Jessie. Like, I know you can come out. I believe in you. I believe in your strength. Like, immediately, she's all about it and like helping him and
she's
saving
such
him.
a good friend.
Yeah, great bestie vibes. Iconic.
She's a great
bestie
ally.
vibes.
She's an ally.
Valentina.
I love an ally.
Ally.
But I also just think the way that Freddy bites Lisa on the leg is very weird and funny. Like, why did he do that? But Jessie has love for her in a platonic bestie way. And I think that really inhibits Freddy, which is interesting. That makes me think with the Grady death that it's like almost kind of competition based. You know what I mean? Like, that's a distraction. That is, he wants to be the only man inside of Jessie. So God forbid things progress with Grady, you know.
Yeah,
Freddy's revenge. So
yeah.
I do think it was really interesting though that we saw his reaction to Grady's death, because we didn't see his reaction to Schneider's death. We just saw that he did the like with the knives on his fingers, and then we learn perhaps he has dissociated and walked naked out onto the highway in the pouring rain when the cops bring him home. So I thought it was really interesting to see him like feel the grief and like the heaviness and then like run for comfort, because it was like shock value the first time, and then the second time it like hit home in a totally different way, and I thought it was nice that we got to experience that on screen, even though it meant that Grady died, and that was sad.
I also like when Freddy makes the pool boil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when he
just cool.
leaps out from under the deck and like bursts through the wooden boards.
Yes. Oh, that was so cool, because everyone's like, where the fuck did he go? He like disappeared. He just comes out of the ground, slashing everyone. The beers start exploding because it gets so hot. I love these little
hot
details.
dogs burst like fireworks.
So good.
We love there's a lot of bursting in this.
There's a lot of bursting in
birds,
this.
bursting dogs.
They cannot be contained.
Oh yeah, there's those weird dogs at the end with the scary faces.
Oh God, I totally
And there was the
forgot
cat
about that.
and the rat.
Was it
with
a
the
cat?
scary
I thought it was a
faces.
larger rat eating a smaller rat. And I was thinking about how we did our doggy dog jokes when we were talking the other day. It's a ratty
Oh,
rat.
I thought it was a cat.
Nobody
eating a
knows for
rat.
sure. Science may not have the answers.
Are those the ghosts of the kids he killed? Like, what the fuck? They're like kid
What?
faces. They're kid
I-
faces.
They are so fast on screen. I think maybe they're just scary.
Bro,
It's just the takeaway.
It's the first picture that's on IMDb. So I've been looking at Robert Englund's face, and
Haunting,
right above it
horrifying.
is a fucking scary dog baby face thing, and it looks like a baby doll face. Like, so I don't
Oh my
know
God.
if that's what it's supposed to represent.
I
I'm
wanna
not.
Take
I'm
a
not
closer look.
David Chaskin, so I couldn't tell you.
David
Thank
Chaskin,
God.
answer for your crimes.
Oh my God. And there's also a really good picture of topless Grady. Good for him.
Grady's very hot.
Grady is very hot. Something that needs to be said. Lisa Weber, played by Kim Myers. I think she's a hot cutie in this movie, but her in when did that movie come out? The documentary, Danny, 2016 or something?
Yeah, around
Grown
then.
up Kim Myers. I was like, this is checking the box for like my Gillian Anderson level of attraction. Like,
Yeah, she's a
got
babe.
that vibe. Oh my God. Whew.
Apparently, she was cast because of her resemblance to Meryl Streep, which is
Oh, totally.
a weird trivia point because I guess looking like
She
a big star
totally
is
does.
cool. They go, people like Meryl Streep. Maybe people, I don't know, did they think people were going to think it was Meryl Streep? I don't know. But
She
just
totally
interesting.
does. But is that relevant?
I don't know. You tell me.
But she does. But she does look like her.
It's
and
true.
this
It is true.
so okay, I guess should we talk? Okay, really quickly, just a stop on the way.
Uh-huh.
Just have to acknowledge that Freddy almost makes him kill his little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. I hated that.
I did like that
Yeah.
she sang the creepy song from the first
And
one though,
the
and
jump
did her little
rope?
jump rope.
And
I
then
really like that song because it's fucking creepy.
yeah, they cut to the kitchen scene after that, and on one of the cabinets there is a drawing that presumably she did of a little girl jump roping. And I just think
she
I don't
had
know
that.
what
Oh,
it means.
yeah.
I just think it's interesting.
Maybe
Mm.
Freddy visited her dreams too.
Oh, keep
Probably.
that for her. Maybe she just. I mean, it's like we're saying, it has exited dream world and crossed into reality. So maybe she's just like picking up the vibes of what's going on in her house. I mean, a bird exploded, a toaster lit itself on fire without being plugged in. It's so hot in there that lamps and records are melting. There's
Yeah, you
it's
know, we
clear the
don't hear a
house
lot
is
from
haunted.
her. I don't know if she's that phased by it. We really never hear from her perspective.
There's one moment where Jesse is talking with his family, being like, "Did you know that somebody went crazy in this house and somebody killed themselves in this house?" And the dad's being like, "Why do you think we got such a good deal on it?" Which, like, first of all, fuck off. But second of all, she does some kind of like scared reaction, and the mom is like, "Don't talk about this in front of Amanda." That's not her name, I don't think, but it felt right in the moment. What is her name? Angela.
Close.
Very close.
It's basically
very close.
Amanda. But yeah,
Well,
I mean,
let's talk about the bitter end of this movie then,
Sure.
because that's the part I watched only one time, and I honestly don't remember what happens.
You mean the very last scene or the like the
the
climax?
showdown.
The
Showdown. The showdown. The
I
climax.
liked that it was in, his OG killer spot.
Yeah.
I read this one article that was like talking about how the movie's gay, and then it was like, and also Freddy is a representation of the proletariat or something, and I was like, whoa. And it was like, he's a working class man and he's always forgotten. He's a line worker, and the line workers make our lives work, and he's been forgotten, and it's unacceptable, and now he makes you remember because you're in the factory. And I was like, oh my God, this has gone to a level that I never could have gone myself. So
A
thank
gay
you.
line worker.
Yeah, it's interesting because they do sort of touch on class stuff a little bit, and being like, they call Lisa like that rich girl or the rich girl or whatever, and like obviously Jesse moved like onto the same street, but it's kind of implied that they wouldn't have been able to afford it if it hadn't been sitting dormant on the market for 5 years after there were murder adjacent business happening there. And so like I think somebody could analyze the class stuff in it, but not me. I don't have the tools
Someone
at this
did.
time.
Linked in the references below.
Amazing.
Someone did. It was only one paragraph, but it was in-depth paragraph. Anyway,
Really blew Monica's mind.
I was like, wow, you just threw that in the last paragraph of the article and then it's over. Like it's been
Give me
gay,
more.
gay, classism. And then it's over. And I was like, wow. I wasn't expecting it, but I see the themes.
Yeah.
I just liked that he lit on fire and melted, and somehow Jesse's face was inside, and he was like, "Hey."
I loved watching Jesse emerge from that Freddy shell.
Mhm.
I loved that Lisa just lays the Mac down on Freddy. You know, that was like,
Oh yeah.
that's like, you know, I want in
What a
the
great
perfect
ally.
world of this universe, like I want Jesse and Grady to just like 69 till they're blue in the face, and Freddy and Lisa can have each other because they looked like they really had something.
Freddy's like,
Freddy,
"Oh,
bisexual
Yeah,
icon.
Freddy's a bisexual icon.
true, too true. Thank God, representation."
Freddy plays for both teams.
It's the representation that I, a bisexual woman, want to see in other bisexuals on film, you know?
Yes.
A lot of good tongue
So
action with
So
wonderful.
Freddy.
much tongue, and he is not shy about who gets to enjoy it.
The
He
other
is a
read
tongue
is
guy
that
though. Because in
He's
the
a big
first
tongue
movie, he
guy.
also does his tongue through the phone to lick
That's
Nancy.
what I'm saying.
oh yeah, he's a big tongue guy.
Here's the thing, Freddy likes to use his tongue and his fingers.
Yeah,
Bisexual
that's
king.
right.
He knows what is fucking what. Another read on that is not as favorable to Lisa is that her kiss was so upsetting to not to Jesse. I'm sorry, to Freddie, that he burst
And
into
he fucking
flames.
pieced out. Yeah,
He was just like,
Freddie is so gay
melting."
that when a woman kisses him, he has to go.
He has to disintegrate and wait till Dream Warriors. But yeah, I was annoyed by the end of this movie though, because like it was the exact same ending as the first one, where like you think everything is fine and you're like, wow, he's so happy. Like, also, if the argument is that like he's straight now at the end, according to David Chaskin, like straightness prevailed. He is acting very happy and out when he's walking down the street. He's like, yeah, he's like doing his dance as he walks down the street. I'm like, let him be living. So David's just an idiot and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And also, I just want to say this, and I don't want Mark Patton to not have his closure because it was so important for him to have his closure in this documentary. But David Chaskin did not apologize to him.
No, he didn't.
He didn't
I'm
apologize
glad that
to him.
Patton felt better, but David, whatever that conversation they showed us between the two of them was not sufficient for me.
It was
Yeah.
not an apology. He did that thing. If I made you feel bad, I guess I'm sorry for that.
Yes,
If
that's not an
you
apology.
perceived it in
Yeah.
a way that upset you, then I'm sorry that you perceived it that way. He
I also
literally
didn't
said that.
like
He
that
literally
the-
said it like that.
I didn't like that the director came over at that one point before that conversation and was like, I really think you need to let this go. And it's like,
Yeah.
I appreciated that at the end, Mark Patton was like, I think that I was conflating what happened with David Chaskin with larger issues and anger that I had at the time. And I think it's valid to
which
be like,
was-
this
which was
one
fair.
man, this one man is
That's
not
big of him
responsible
to have that.
for the AIDS crisis,
Yes,
for homophobia, but like he is responsible for things he said about you. He is responsible
Yes.
for dialogues he did or didn't have with you. You are entitled to be angry. I don't think other third parties should come in and be like, it's been 30 years, move on. Like,
Also, he just openly said, I'm a dumb, straight idiot who had no idea this was gay at all. So, like, you can't understand any of the subtext, even when it's screaming at you. So, you
Mark
can't
had to
understand his
move-
perspective at all. So, just shut the fuck up.
I'm a dumb straight idiot, but I feel entitled to weigh in on this conversation about homophobia.
Mark had to move to a dirt road in
Classic dumb straight
Mexico because
idiot.
of what David Chaskin was telling people about him.
Yes.
And I wish I had
on.
known that when I was in Puerto Vallarta because I would have tried to
You
go to
could've
his
been
store.
Oh my god. Also his
Right.
boyfriend, husband, not sure, partner.
Husband, I think.
Hot. Hot couple. Hot couple alert.
Hector.
Hector, hot.
Cutie.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and-
so it's a
and
happy
his-
ending.
His 80s lover, the soap opera star, was also very cute.
Oh my god, he
Mhm.
was so cute. That was so
Oh.
sad.
Timothy?
Yeah,
Tim?
Yeah.
Timmy?
Very handsome. The
So
fluffy hair of the
cute.
80s was like a really nice thing that was going on. Like Jesse's fluffy hair.
Danny's kind of got 80s fluffy hair right
know.
now.
Throw it out a little on
Danny.
the
It's not
sides and
framing
it's
my
there.
face in the
It
same
needs
way,
to frame
but
a little bit more, but like just wait
Yeah.
a month.
Just
And
get
you're
some
right. Yeah,
hairspray and then
The moose.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay, so let's move into I think our segments now. It's time.
Segment 2.
So this is actually the hardest question I've ever had to ask. How could this movie be gayer? Like,
honestly easy. Lisa dies. Grady saves him.
there
It's a
you
win
go.
for everybody.
Cosign.
I want
Cosign.
Done. That's actually the edit. That's the edit.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Lisa. You
Like,
were so
Grady
nice.
has to kiss Freddy and be
The
like, I
power.
love you.
Mhm.
Please come back.
the power of gay love is what saves the day this time.
Yeah.
Saves the
If
day,
I-
still quotes.
I
but-
love that suggestion, Sydney, and I would just have to say that if I were to make this movie, or if this movie could be gayer, and I were in charge of that task,
And you
I
are.
would remake it, and I am. I would remake it shot for shot, but instead of everything that's subtextual, I'd just take it all the way. I'd just put the knife all the way in his mouth. I would,
It would actually be Dick's next to his bed
It would
instead
be
of.
it would be a
Right.
dripping dick next to his bed when he does the popper with his
cum lamp.
pants. Like maybe his dick comes out of his pants. I don't know. Like I would
There
just
should have been
remove the
a
sub.
showing hog moment.
Yeah, I want to see Hog.
And there should have been some popper representation in this
Yeah.
movie.
They
I'm
had
just-
the popper thing, but it wasn't poppers.
It
No, but
was
we
a
in
clear
my version we're
reference.
gonna have poppers.
Yeah,
and,
at the
Good.
party.
and that's
There's
how this
a
movie
whole
gets
party.
gayer.
There's
Yeah,
a whole
at the
party
movie
right
for
before
sure.
their
This
sleepover. I
is
think that would
really-
be the natural
This
fit.
is really beautiful. That's a beautiful vision, and I co-sign and support. I'll sign on. I'll donate to the
Great.
GoFundMe, whatever I need to do.
Yeah, get you a producing credit.
Ooh, my dream. Okay, so then the next question is, where would Maddie Lily fit into this film? How old was he? 5? When
No,
this
he was like 15.
Really?
Yeah.
85?
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
always think he's younger than he is, man. I forgot he was like 30 when
He would have been a great Grady.
He would have been a cute Grady.
Yeah,
I
totally.
liked
Been a very
Grady,
cute Grady.
though.
Yeah, Grady was great.
he was really great.
Grady had some long eyebrows. Like his eyebrow went like they like went all the way to like the bridge of his nose.
Interesting.
But he
almost,
looked
without
really
being
good.
a unibrow.
Yeah,
And he
Yeah.
had his
And
little
he
camo
seems-
booty shorts.
totally. And he seems like he was a lot of fun when they were doing the festival circuit. Like he was really game for all the fans asking him questions. The actors.
Totally. And also, there's that scene where he's eating the entire time, and his mouth is full of food the whole time, and that was really funny, and it was great. And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I
that was
liked
such a
that
lover
choice.
spat scene too, where he was like, "Shut up, Grady," and he was like, "Oh, you want me to shut up? Fine, I'll shut up."
Yeah.
But then he leaves, and he's like, "Okay, bye, buddy." And I
Bye,
just think
bestie.
they are 100% a couple, and they both know it.
I think Maddie Lily
Oh,
also
yeah.
could have been Jessie. I mean, in a different world. But
Yeah.
I will say that there's like maybe 4 characters in this movie, so there's not I don't know where else Maddie could fit.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly cast, and so I don't need Maddie to be in this one.
No, me
but I
neither.
always love him to
Yeah.
be there. He could be the bird.
He could have been in the gay bar scene.
Yeah.
That's a good spot
He
for him.
could have been Lisa
Yeah.
to make it gayer.
Wow, I
Let's
would've
make
loved that.
Everybody a man. Yeah.
He could have been
Everybody be a man.
Jessie's daddy today if he's today.
Mm,
If I'm
and
related.
Traveling Matthew.
Oh,
Lillard.
yeah.
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 Perfect. That works.
Oh, he would be a great father.
That said, that leads us into
Is
our
that
next
dirtier than
segment.
daddy? Father.
I hope
It's
In
more
my brain,
it's
it's more
Stop.
biblical.
I hate this.
That's what makes it dirtier.
You guys are going back to the beginning where the dad calls his wife mom, and it's that whole thing, and I don't like that.
Well, he meant to say grandma.
Ew!
Oh my God. God
Anyway.
damn it, Danny.
The dad talk leads us into our next segment because I don't think there can be any argument that the dad is the dumb bitch.
Yeah.
He is a classic horror movie dad buying a murder house, moving his family into it without telling them about it. And
Very
then
Ethan Hawke of him.
Very Ethan Hawke of him. He accuses his son of exploding a bird with no reason to think that.
No evidence.
His son is
None.
found dissociating naked walking down a highway, and he goes, therapy? Ew, what would that do? Just everything about him
Good
screams
God,
dumb
protect
bitch.
us.
Everything
couldn't
about
agree
him screams
more.
dumb bitch.
I totally agree, and I'll also throw in the suggestion that the screenwriter David Chaskin is a dumb bitch.
No, that's it.
True.
That's the one. Okay, like for me, it's David Chaskin. I've never been so mad. That's not true. I've been way more mad. I've been.
I
significantly madder, but
love
he's
the
such a
product
dick.
of this script, but watching that man talk in the documentary, I was like, "You're a fucking moron."
Yeah, he was dropping the F slur and all these quotes that I read. Like, oh my God, like all the time. He's like, I didn't bring the F slur to the movie. Mark Patton brought the F slur to the
What
movie.
does that mean?
That's our word.
Yeah,
Gay people are allowed to say it.
Not
What?
David Chaskin.
what does that even mean? He brought it to the movie.
It's the abbreviation. He didn't say he brought the full word. That would be, it was like, he was saying fag. I could say that. Anyway. It would be like a little more intense if he was like, he didn't bring the whole word to the movie. But either way, it's still fucked up. He just thinks he's being funny and he thinks he can say whatever he wants, but he can't
Ew.
because
Yeah, it's not
I'm here to
fucking
police
funny,
him.
David.
Yeah,
You're-
we're not
you're-
about it.
Your moral of sexuality winning the day isn't funny.
Shocking.
It's really
And
gross.
it's wrong and it's not true. So
And it
Yeah.
doesn't even. They go back into Joshua Tree at the end. So
yeah.
And
Idiot.
Lisa is Matthew Lillard, a homosexual.
Come on.
Exactly.
Stu, you
Yeah.
couldn't see it. So sad for him. I pity
Yeah.
him.
Sad.
I pity him. Anyway, that brings us to our knives out of fives. And so I know that people didn't like this movie that much, but like,
Mhm.
just tell me what did they think?
it got a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it got 41% rotten from critics and 33% rotten from audiences. So I'm a little shocked to discover that audiences liked it even less than critics did. But having watched the
critics
Scream Comma Queen
appreciated.
documentary and seeing all the F-slur comments people left on everything, yeah, I guess that tracks. Audiences were being the fucking worst about this movie. So
Yep. Who wants to go first? It's
I
hard.
don't mind it when other people are wrong. I
Yeah.
think that everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
everyone's
but
entitled to their own wrong opinion.
Wrong opinion.
yeah, like you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts. And the facts are that this movie slaps hard.
Sorry.
So, honestly, like I'd give it a 5 out of 5. I was gonna do some big preface about how I love to listen to your podcast. I'm often very critical about how generous you are with your knives. To myself, because like, who am I talking to? Like,
You're not
this is me
texting
talking
me about it.
Good, because we don't accept feedback well.
Well,
I'm
Yeah, we're
kidding. I
not
can take it.
accepting feedback.
I
will
can't
accept
take it,
You can
so-
tell
but
me.
here I am on the pod with no notes about this film. It gets 5 out of 5 knives for me.
Sometimes the enjoyment level is just that high. It doesn't matter that
Yeah.
if it's a quote unquote good movie or whatever it was at the time.
No,
we just love
I-
it.
even my criticisms of this movie are so minor. Like you fine, you got a 4.8 out of 5 for me.
No.
Like I just
No, go with your
Stick with your
gut. You don't need to make it worse.
5. It's
Give it your
5,
love.
bitches.
Yeah.
It can be
You
a
gotta
5,
go for
and
it.
like you would change things if you were in charge. It's still full
Yeah.
5 love.
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
remove all the sub and it's just Dom text.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I will say I do have notes, you know what I mean? I would make changes mainly because the final showdown is literally so anticlimactic that it's just
Agreed.
a kiss basically, and then it's over. I think that sucks a little bit. And I think that is a product of the script and the screenwriter trying to hammer their agenda instead of acknowledging the movie for what it was and what was at its heart and what was coming clear in the story. That said, I reclaim the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's not anyone else's now, it's ours. And that's how I feel about a lot of movies. I think it's one of those things where it's like, maybe this could have been bad representation at another time, or maybe this was not accepted in a friendly way. But in 2022, when I get to just be like, this is my fun gay movie about two besties and their platonic love and accepting who he is by the end, and then we pretend they didn't go into the desert, then I think it's great. You know what I mean? And I love that Mark Patton was able also to reclaim this role and this character and what it meant for him and what it means to fans, and how meaningful his character has been to fans, even when there are 1 million haters. You know what you know that meme that's like, if there's 1,000 fans, I am one. If there are 10 fans, I am one. If there are no fans, I'm dead.
I am dead.
Yeah,
I am dead on this earth.
I just love that people go to bat for this movie and that they have so much love for this movie. And now I have a lot of love for this movie. And so I would like to give Mark Patton specifically 5 knives. And then I would like to give the movie maybe like 4.75 knives out of 5s.
Nice. Do you want to go next, Sydney, or do you want me to?
I had a great time with this movie. I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5. I know it was the 80s, and so like it wasn't a thing, but I do wish that they would have just like leaned in to it, you know, like give the people like it's a horror movie. Like, have fun with it. Do it. It would have been actually fucking groundbreaking at the time to like do it. And they were all little scared baby bitches. And I mean, now in 2022, we have a incredibly queer horror film, but it's not, but it is. And I think that they should have just gone balls to the wall with it, because there was balls everywhere.
Literally balls on the wall at one point, because when the coach dies, he's dick out on the wall, pressed to the wall. So they went literal, but not metaphorical.
Exploding everywhere.
And here's the thing: 5 out of 5 knives for all the tidy whities
and the jock straps
and the jock straps
and jock straps. Like, there's nothing more that I like than men in tidy whities. I will be a bold sayer.
You're so brave.
I'm so brave. Can I say something brave? I love men in tidy whities.
So brave.
I love that for you.
So brave.
I'm gonna be brave too, because I'm not gonna give this a 5 out of 5. But I still fucking loved it. I don't want to go lower than Sydney, but I was going to give it a 4, but I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Gonna match her? Yeah.
I don't want to be disrespectful. Because I love this movie in retrospect more than I did on first watch. I loved it a lot on first watch, but at the end of the movie, I turned to Adam and I was like, wow, that was wild, but it was dumb. Because the ending was dumb. And the ending really pissed me off. And there's like so many highlights in it that you remember those, but in between those parts, there's a lot of like like straight fluff that I just didn't need. You know what I mean? And so it's obviously not the perfect film because it's created by a monster. I hate him. I'm so sorry. I've been radicalized to hatred towards this man. They really did need Wes Craven to come back, and he did for the third one, and there you are. But I love that this movie exists. I was crying by the end of the Scream Queen documentary because it's just like, so like they had all these interviews with fans being like, I finally saw someone in a movie who reminded me of me. And like, just that doesn't matter what every detail of what happened in the movie. Like I saw that, I saw the dancing scene and I felt seen. I saw this and I was just like, fuck, like this is why I love horror so much, because like it represents like the other so much in so many different ways. But like this is groundbreaking that they had even this much gay shit happening in this movie in the 80s, and like just all the like really watch the documentary. It was really well done. Having the context of the AIDS epidemic just made the whole thing just so much more affecting. So yeah, I love Mark. I'm obsessed with him. I feel so bad he had to go through so much, but like this is like a really important movie. I never thought I'd say that about Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah,
But
I
it
completely
is.
agree. I completely agree.
It's really important. It's really cool. It's just like sometimes we watch movies on this podcast and I do the research and I just like fucking am like, I'm so glad we do this fucking podcast because I'm like so jazzed to learn this shit. Like I'm just like, my brain is tingling. And like last week I felt that way and this week I feel that way. I guess Pride Month just makes my brain
Pride Month,
tingle.
baby.
Yeah. Pride. Okay, that's Freddy's Revenge. Damn. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. The most succinct name for any film ever.
The gayest romp you will ever have.
Truly.
Okay, and so next week we are gonna jump forward into the future while also
It's
jumping
back
into
to the future.
because we are gonna do Fear Street Part 1, 1994.
Woo!
Which I know we've all seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the ending of this movie, which is wild because I think I fell asleep.
It was good. It was a good ending. It's very much like leads into the rest of the trilogy. We'll talk about it later. But it's very fun.
I'm very looking forward to finishing this movie, quite frankly.
I'm excited to watch it again. I remember liking it a lot, and I also remember getting sleepy towards the end, but that is just because I didn't have stamina at that time. I was tired, okay?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the film. I remember the opening scene fucking slaps. I'm just excited to re-watch it because I was so excited when I saw it the first time because we got like canon lesbians, and we love to see that shit.
Yeah.
Especially during Pride Month.
We've talked about covering this movie before. We were maybe a little hesitant because it's kind of hard to not get into the whole trilogy. And it's also very hard to do a whole trilogy in our episode lengths, which are already long. But I think the first one stands alone well enough. And I'm really excited. And also it's a clear reference because when we saw the second one, 1978 in the park, Monica, Danny was with us. So there you go.
Yeah.
A beautiful through line.
A beautiful through
important
line for Pride Month. And anyway, while you're feeling so prideful, why not spread the love and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? Something that you could say in your 5-star review is, wow, Danny is handsome. That is something that's true and deserves 5 stars. Danny has great hair. His voice is very sexy, and also I trust everything he says. These are all things that you could write in your review.
Basically, we're just trying to get Danny to leave us a review.
If Danny's the person who writes this review.
Wow, I really thought you were going to say, we're really trying to get Danny a date.
If anybody would like to go on a date with Danny, he's the best. He's very handsome. He's very smart. You heard him say all kinds of good things. He's an eligible bachelor.
He has great clothing.
Here's an endorsement that I have. My friend, Aline, her boyfriend doesn't know everyone in our grade. He went through the yearbook and he went through every single boy and he said, there's one boy who's the cutest boy, the most handsome, and it was Danny. And he said that. He did. And then yesterday, her straight boyfriend, he was ranking who's the hottest in our whole grade and he chose you. And that's true. He did. I thought I told you this already. And then yesterday,
you were prom king.
We were telling him I was having dinner with him and I was like, oh, Danny's coming on the pod with us. And he was like, oh, Danny? Like he remembered and he was excited.
The cute one.
Wow. Well, Aline better watch out.
Beloved by straight and gay men alike, also women. So yeah, why not write something like a little sonnet about Danny, or you could say something about the pod, but it's about Danny right now.
My review.
Yeah, if you'd like to date Danny, give
Danny.
us your pitch in a 5-star review, and we will evaluate your candidacy for being Danny's boyfriend.
Boyfriend application could be the title, and then in the body you write what you could bring to the table. Thank you. Please submit by the end of Pride Month. Moving on, you can also follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday on Instagram, TikTok, and what's the other one? Twitter. And we're also Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. Danny, do you want to plug your socials or do you want to say incognito? Okay, incognito. We're moving on.
Danny's like, you don't get my social until you've been approved to date
once
me.
You've gone
After
through the
you
process.
submit the application, then we'll see.
My socials are private, so when you hit follow, you're just gonna sit in the pending requests.
You'll be in the queue.
The queue forever.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the day, we have to say thank you for listening.
Bye, Spooky.
Bye, Spookies.
Something is trying to get inside my body.
Yeah, and she's female and she's waiting for you in the cabana. And you want to sleep with me.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara. And our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at _moon_OMG.